Hello YouTube, it's Wayne here again with another video. Just going to try to get some more content out. I haven't been doing this for a long time. It's been almost a year since I dropped a video. I just dropped an updated video on the mill hind that I was working on. And when I got frustrated on that one, I started working on this one. And this is the first Meng model that I built. And I figured I would do a car. I don't usually do cars, but at least not hot rods and sports cars and things like that. But I did find this, and it did look interesting to me. And what caught my eye was that it was a Rolls-Royce armored car. And until I had built this and done some research on the history of it, I was not aware that Rolls-Royce even had an armored car, or there was one that was used in the wars. But this was a very, very interesting model. And I did some research on it, and I found that there's even a tank museum in the UK that they have a couple of these that are still working, and they use them as demonstrators for people, and give people tours inside and out of them. Just very, very interesting how the Rolls-Royce Motor Company was able to take a standard Rolls-Royce chassis, which obviously has to be pretty beefy already, and put some 3/8 and half-inch steel plate welded and riveted all over it, and a couple machine guns on the top, and just go for it and put it in service. And I had some old videos of these actually in service that I found on the YouTube, and it was really interesting to watch it actually being used. So it's a simple kit. It was not what I think is a very high level kit. It was only about 5 sprues, but there were some very small details on it that were very difficult for me because I have issues with dexterity in my hands. So I was going to actually drop a build video of it, and my build videos are so slow though, and I make a lot of mistakes. It's probably not very entertaining for anybody to watch. So as I mentioned before in my videos, I'm new to the hobby and I'm learning as I go. And a lot of the things I learned on the hind, I used on this as well too. I learned how to place tiny parts with tweezers and use CA glue instead of the Tamiya thin because it grabs a little bit better. And when my hands are shaking, if I can get it in the right place for a second, it's going to be good to go. So that worked a lot better for me. And I really enjoyed this. I really love the detail um, on the bottom. I know my cameras or my lights are going to wash this out terribly, but I really like the detail on the bottom of the suspension and the transmission and the motor. They're all very, very tiny parts, and they were very hard for me to get in place. And it, like I said before, it took me a long time to do it. And little tiny things like this little arm on the outside of the headlight, yeah, that one, and these little tiny spotlights on either side of the main um, driving area were difficult, but I was able to get it on there, and now I've got it to the prime stage now. So this was my relief from the hind when the hind frustrated me so bad, or my hands were shaking so bad, I would jump on this, and this was a little bit easier for me to get my head around and get a good build on it. And I've gotten it this far. It's primed and ready for the base color now. And I'm probably going to, I don't have the right color for it that it's supposed to be painted, but I do have a lot of gray paint. So it's probably going to be gray, and may not be the right shade of gray, but I can't afford to buy paint every time I have a new model to make sure that the paint is correct for it. So I have made it far enough to where I've got the wheels almost done as well. And it does have soft rubber wheels, and I really like that a lot. So I got those painted. I just sprayed them with an airbrush, and I'm going with the metal wheels on this one because boy, that light really washes it out, doesn't it? I'm going with the metal wheels on this one because the photo etch wheels came in 2 pieces and were really thin photo etch, and they were hard plastic wheels. And what you had to do is you had to put a little hub with a poly washer inside the 2 pieces of photo etch, then you had to bend it, then you had to fit it in between the hard pieces of plastic and then glue the wheel around it. I got one done and it took me over an hour to do it. And it still didn't look right. If you put it on the car, it was kind of angled out, and I couldn't get the toe in and camber right so that it would sit straight when it was actually put on the spindle. And so I just gave up on that, and I went to and thank God that there were 4 different options for this in the model. I went with the steel wheels, and I think they came out okay. They're not great, but I mean they're going to look all right when they're eventually on it, and when I get some some panel line wash on it, maybe some dark oil or something on there, and some weathering, I think it's going to look all right. The model had 4 different options. This is the first time I'd come across that as well. The model had 4 different options that you could build it as. And some of the options were, of course, like this one, which is, I'll try to get you a good picture of it. Yeah, it's kind of hard because my lights are harsh. I'm still working on my lighting as well too. So this is one option. This is the one with the spoked photo etched wheels on it. So that one was a challenge. That one was what I wanted it to do it as originally, but it just became so much of a challenge with the photo etched wheels. I went with the steel wheels. So that was one option. Then another option was the one they used, I believe this one was used in Egypt in 1920, and this one has the steel wheels in it. So this is the one that I will probably end up doing, but I'm not going to paint it the brown or the mustard or the tan, whatever you want to call that color. I'm going to probably paint it the gray of this one, and then just detail it because I want the rivets to really show on it a lot when I get done with it, because they're so small in this model and it's so hard to see them. But I have really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with this. It was almost a relief after struggling with that stupid helicopter and trying to get it dialed in. It had an option for closed or open doors. I went with the open doors on the radiator, and I thought that was pretty ingenious as well too, because when they used this in combat, they had to be able to close the radiator door so that, of course, bullets or whatever couldn't pierce the radiator. And apparently, when they closed the doors, it ran hot, it overheated, they had a lot of trouble with it. But it made it through service, and I'm pretty sure it probably saved a few servicemen's lives. I have the turret already primered, and I'm going to paint that with the base color when I paint this as well. And it's just very interesting to me to watch the videos and see how it was actually used in service. In the back here are 2 doors that open like this and on hinges, and that's the only way in or out. And the interior of it, the dashboard and all the controls were it was like sitting on a soapbox and just pulling these crude levers, to open the radiator doors and to do anything else with it. And of course, you had a gunner in the turret back in here. He would actually stand up in the turret. He couldn't sit down. He had to stand the whole time. There was only one seat in there, and then a little cargo bed in the back, and the runners and floorboards. It's just really interesting to me. A really interesting piece of history, and I really enjoyed making it. So when I get this one to the point where I'll get the base color, I'll probably drop another video on it. I'm going to try to get a lot more content put up on my channel, because I've just been, kind of dealing with life and all of life's struggle and scratching and trying to survive and having financial problems and bankruptcy and employment and everything else. It's just been really rough for the past really 10 months, 10 or 12 months really. And I just haven't been inspired to get in here and do this or work on anything, especially not to upload any videos of it. But I have found it's very therapeutic. It helps me. It takes me out of my head for a while. And all the videos that you guys post as well, all my friends in the UK, they help me too. They help me forget about what I'm dealing with just for a little while and enjoy the hobby. So there it is. There's the Rolls-Royce armored car. And when I get a little bit more progress on it, I'll go ahead and drop another video. And it's going to be my first attempt. I'm going to probably try to weather this before I do any weathering on the Hind helicopter. I cringe every time I pick that thing up, but I get one step closer to getting it done. And I'm just going to count that as my first attempt, and I learned a lot on it, and I'm not going to have any regrets for it. But this one I think I did a lot better on. and I think it'll show in the final product once I get it done. Once again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your views. I'm not monetized or anything. I'm not sponsored. I pay for all this myself. So if the video quality and the lighting are not very good, I do apologize. I tried to get the audio as best as I could. I bought a lavalier mic so that you could hear me a little bit better. And I'm doing whatever I can to make it suitable and at least enjoyable to watch. So take care, everyone, and I will talk to you soon. And we'll see you when I make a little bit more progress on this, and also when I make some more progress on the old Hind helicopter. Take care, stay safe, and fight the good fight. We'll talk to you later.